295 million tons. That's the number that came out of a stretch of bush in northern Quebec this spring, and it turned a quiet exploration project into one of the biggest lithium finds on the planet. This is not a rumor, neither a guess from a satellite photo, but a signed, filed, independently checked report. And the strangest part is where it sits. No desert, no war zone, no country that might nationalize your mine next Tuesday. It's sitting in Canada, a short drive off a highway, with rail and a deep seaport down the road. Here's what they actually found up there. The project is called Cisco, and it sits in the Eeyou, Istchee, James Bay region of Quebec, inside the greater Nemaska traditional territory of the Cree. On a map, it's the middle of nowhere. In mining terms, it's about as good as nowhere gets. The deposit lies roughly 6.5 kilometers from the Billy Diamond Highway. That highway runs south to rail facilities at Matagami, about 150 kilometers away, and from there the rail goes to deep seaports. Most big mineral finds are hundreds of kilometers from anything with a road. This one is practically at the doorstep. An Australian outfit called Fleet Space Technologies used a system where they drop battery-powered sensors on the ground across a search area. Those sensors sit there and listen to the faint natural shaking of the earth, from wind, waves, and ordinary movement. At Cisco, that mapping pointed straight at a big body of spodumene, which is the hard rock mineral that most battery lithium comes from. Then they drilled, and the holes came back better than anyone expected. One hole cut through 457 meters of continuous spodumene-bearing rock, grading 1.65% lithium oxide. Another returned 179 meters. Those aren't thin little veins you have to chase through the ground. Those are thick, solid slabs of ore, and the deposit stayed open, meaning every time they drilled the edge, the rock kept going. On April 20th, 2026, the numbers became official. An independent consultant finished the first proper resource estimate, and the technical report was signed in June and filed under Canada's strict mining disclosure rules. The result? 270 million tons at 1.36% lithium oxide that could be dug from an open pit, plus another 24 million tons underground. Combined, 295 million tons grading 1.36%. That grade matters more than the size does. Anybody can find a lot of rock. The question is, how much lithium is in it? Because that decides whether you make money or lose it. At 1.36%, Cisco sits comfortably in the range that makes a hard rock lithium mine worth building. And that number beat expectations. Early guesses had this deposit around 1%. The real answer came in noticeably richer. Now the honest part, because this is where most videos about mining discoveries start lying to you. This is an inferred resource. That's the lowest confidence category there is. It means the geologists are reasonably sure the rock is there based on the drilling done so far, but it is not a proven reserve, and nobody has yet published a study saying this mine would make money. That study, called a preliminary economic assessment, is expected in the fall of 2026. The company is currently running its biggest field program yet, about 20,000 meters of drilling this summer, mostly to firm up what's already been found and push the confidence level up a notch. Environmental baseline work has started. Metallurgical testing is underway. There is no production timeline. A mine here, if it happens, is years out. So it's not a finished thing. It's a very large, very promising thing that still has to clear real hurdles, including consultation with the Cree communities, whose traditional territory this sits on, which is a legal requirement in Quebec, not a formality. Money hasn't been the problem, which tells you how seriously investors are taking it. The company closed a $70 million financing to fund the work, at a time when plenty of lithium juniors couldn't raise a dime, and the ground they're working is enormous. The full claim block covers more than 41,000 hectares, and everything found so far sits on a small fraction of it. The rest has barely been tested. With that said, look at why the timing on this is wild. Lithium has been on an absolute roller coaster. Back in late 2022, the price hit records, everybody rushed to build mines, and the world ended up with far more lithium than it could use. prices didn't dip, they collapsed. Battery-grade lithium carbonate fell more than 80% from the peak and bottomed out around $8,000 a ton in June of 2025. Mines shut down. Projects got shelved. Exploration budgets got slashed to the bone. It was about the worst possible moment to be a lithium company. Then it turned. Through the back half of 2025, the price climbed steadily, and by the spring of 2026, battery-grade lithium carbonate was trading around $25,000 a ton, roughly triple the low. The market swung from a glut to analysts arguing about how big the shortage will be. Morgan Stanley has been forecasting a deficit for 2026. Global EV sales are on track to pass 25 million units this year, and the boom in grid battery storage, the giant battery farms that hold power for the grid, has piled even more demand on top. Two things helped shove the price up, and both show how fragile this supply chain really is. A major Chinese lithium mine suspended operations, and Zimbabwe, one of Africa's biggest lithium exporters, suddenly halted all lithium concentrate exports in February. That's it. Two disruptions on the other side of the world, and prices jumped double digits. That fragility is the real story, and it's why a big find in Canada matters more than the tonnage alone suggests. It helps to understand why lithium specifically. It's the lightest metal there is, and it moves charge extremely well, which is exactly what you want in a battery you have to carry around in a car. There's no drop-in replacement sitting on a shelf. Sodium batteries are being worked on and may take some of the load for grid storage, but for vehicles, lithium is what works right now. So every electric car, every phone, every laptop, and every one of those giant battery farms going up beside power plants runs on it. Demand doesn't get to opt out. Right now, a small handful of countries control lithium. Australia, Chile, and China account for the overwhelming majority of supply. But raw ore isn't what goes into a battery. It has to be refined into battery-grade chemicals first, and China handles roughly 60% of the world's refining capacity. That's the chokehold. You can dig lithium anywhere, but if the only place that can turn it into usable material is one country, that country holds the leverage. The International Energy Agency ranks lithium near the very top of its list for geopolitical supply risk, and that concentration is exactly why. And China has been tightening its grip on purpose. In 2025, it added lithium processing technology and battery cathode manufacturing to its list of technologies banned from export. Not just controlling the supply, but blocking other countries from building the ability to compete. That's the wall the West has been slamming into, and it's exactly why Canadian rock is worth more than the geology suggests. A mine in Quebec sits in a stable country with courts that work, clear rules, and no serious chance the government seizes it. Quebec runs on hydroelectric power, so the processing can be done with far lower emissions than in places burning coal to do the same job. And that matters commercially now, because car makers in Europe and North America increasingly have to prove where their battery materials came from and how clean they were. There are roads, there's rail, there's a port, and there's a border with the biggest car market in North America. Since 2020, automakers and battery companies have announced tens of billions of dollars in electric vehicle and battery supply chain investment in Canada. The United States has gone from a couple of battery gigafactories in 2019 to dozens planned, building, or running. Europe has set targets to source a large share of its critical minerals from home or from allies by 2030. Everybody's trying to get out from under the same chokehold at the same time, and there's nowhere near enough non-Chinese supply to go around. Cisco isn't alone either. Quebec has a whole cluster of lithium projects at various stages, and there's more across Ontario, the Northwest Territories, and other provinces. Canada is quietly turning into one of the major hard rock lithium regions on Earth. The catch is that Canada still has to build the refining to go with it, because digging the rock and shipping it raw to somebody else's plant is the same trap this country has fallen into with every other resource it's ever had. Now, the question people always jump to, does this kill oil? No, and anybody telling you otherwise is selling something. Oil still runs planes and cargo ships, and battery technology isn't close to replacing either at scale. Petroleum goes into plastics, medicine, fertilizer, and 1,000 industrial processes that aren't switching anytime soon. Oil isn't going anywhere in our lifetimes. What is changing is narrower and still enormous. Road transport is the single biggest use of oil on Earth, and it's being electrified faster than most people realize. As that happens, the leverage that came with controlling oil starts shifting toward whoever controls battery materials. That's the real contest, and it's already underway. The difference is that lithium is spread out. Australia has hard rock, South America has the brine deposits in the lithium triangle, China has its own, Africa is coming up fast, and Canada is now a serious player. Oil created cartels because it was concentrated in a few places. Lithium is scattered widely enough that no single group is likely to run it the way OPEC ran crude. So what did Canada actually find in that Quebec bush? Not a magic rock that ends the oil age. What it found is 295 million tons of good-grade ore, sitting in a safe country, next to a highway, near rail, close to a port, powered by clean hydro, right as the world scrambles to build supply chains that don't run through a single country. The report is filed, the drills are still turning. The economic study lands this fall, and the deposit is still open in every direction, on a claim block where they've only tested a small piece of the ground. Whatever the number is today, it's probably not the final one.